Look at you. You smell like failure in Greece." My mother, Evelyn, stood guard at the dining room door, blocking my entrance, stopping me from stepping into the party I had just spent 10 hours preparing every single dish. "I cannot have my guests seeing a low-level risk analyst beside millionaires. It lowers the stock value of this family." She slipped her hand into her designer clutch, pulled out a wrinkled $20 bill, and pushed it hard into my apron pocket without hesitation. "Take this for cab fare and leave through the back door quietly. Do not embarrass me." I walked toward my 12-year-old sedan parked outside. The gravel crunched loudly beneath my sensible work shoes as I moved. Behind me, laughter echoed and champagne glasses clinked inside the glowing house. My brother Julian was likely raising a toast to his latest venture, a cryptocurrency arbitrage firm that existed only on a glossy business card and a website he paid a freelancer $50 to quickly design. As I turned the key inside the ignition, I released a breath I felt held 30 long, exhausting, silent years. In the Fairbanks family economy, everyone played roles. Julian was declared the resident genius of us, the golden boy forever one handshake away, billion, despite being 34 years old without steady employment, never keeping any job longer than 6 months. Bianca, my younger sister, was crowned the family star of social media, an influencer curating luxury through borrowed credit limits. Cards I personally knew were completely maxed out. And me, I was the designated black hole. That was what my mother called me privately. When she assumed I was not paying attention, I was the dull one, absorbing all light, giving nothing in return because I refused illusions. I worked as senior risk analyst at major insurance firm downtown. My job required studying disasters and pricing consequences. It felt strangely appropriate. I spent days reviewing clients' catastrophic probabilities and nights dissecting the slow collapse of family. They labeled me stingy for driving second-hand vehicle and living inside modest studio apartment downtown. They called me ungrateful for doubting Julian's fantasies, yet never once phoned to praise paid bills. They only ever contacted me when darkness threatened. I merged onto the highway, city lights smearing. My thoughts wandered backward to Tuesday 3 years earlier in spring. It was day of Evelyn's elite bridge club. I stopped by carrying bags of fresh groceries, found her pacing hallway pale, shaking, nearly breathless. The power company had sent technician for disconnection. 7 months unpaid electricity. Total arrears reached $4,200. She seized my arm nails, pressing painfully inward. "Maya, the ladies arrive in 20 short minutes. Lights fail tonight? Shame will surely kill. You have to fix this immediately. No excuses." She never asked whether I had spare funds, never considered if affordable. She simply demanded solution. I had just received annual performance bonus yesterday, meant for long-term retirement security and cautious investing. But seeing her panic triggered lifelong trained response. Desperate, craving usefulness. I unlocked my phone and transferred entire balance. $4,200 vanished with single cold, indifferent digital click. When technician departed, satisfied, and electricity remained steady, Evelyn offered no embrace, no gratitude. Crossed her perfectly painted lips then. She adjusted her silk blouse and examined me. Her gaze paused critically on my inexpensive cardigan. "You should purchase better clothing, Maya. Honestly speaking, that sweater is pilling. It makes you look completely and utterly destitute." Then she welcomed her friends with radiant smile, as if crisis never shadowed her polished foyer. Leaving me hidden within corners of quiet hallway, I tightened my grip around the steering wheel. For years I insisted I was dutiful daughter, that I was helping hold everything together. But driving away tonight with $20 lonely, Clarity struck like calculated mathematical inevitability and proof. I was not beloved daughter within that house. I was merely their private, undisclosed insurance policy. The unacknowledged safety net beneath their reckless vanity. They believed I was predictable, harmless, unambitious. They forgot my profession centered on identifying liabilities. And tonight, finally understanding, I saw the largest liability was them. There was one detail from kitchen earlier omitted. Before Evelyn forced crumpled money into my pocket, scraping duck fat from heavy roasting pans, I noticed something bright inside recycling bin nearby. A vivid, alarming bank envelope colored urgent red. That particular threatening shade institutions favor for panic. It lay beneath potato peels and empty bottles, ripped cleanly into two careless, uneven, angry halves. Yet header remained painfully clear and unmistakable still. Notice of default. I retrieved it discreetly while Evelyn checked makeup. In the hallway mirror, I folded the damp-stained, fragile paper carefully and slipped it quietly inside my bra securely. Now sitting at my tote, now sitting at my small desk in silence. Within my dim apartment, I arranged the torn pieces out like puzzle. The document was unmistakably a final formal warning. The mortgage on ancestral home remained unpaid for long consecutive draining months. But that made little logical financial sense whatsoever. I understood Evelyn's finances better than anyone alive. I knew my father left house free clear. There should have been no mortgage outstanding whatsoever, lest someone secured new loan against hidden equity. I opened my laptop and accessed County Clerk Online Public Records Portal. Most assume you require badge warrant, special clearance. But that simply is not true at all. You only need address and stable internet connection. Public records remain greatest financial equalizer available. I entered childhood home address with steady fingers. Search results populated within mere seconds on screen. There it was glaring. A home equity credit line opened 3 years earlier. Without my knowledge, the figure twisted sharply inside my uneasy stomach. $220,000. I selected Digital Deed of Trust copy file. I scrolled slowly downward toward the signature section. There was my mother's name elegantly scripted there. Evelyn Fairbanks written perfectly in looping, polished cursive. It appeared flawless, legitimate. It appeared completely official. Yet, something about adjacent date unsettled me deeply. October 14th, 3 years ago exactly. I stood and crossed to my filing cabinet. I in person preserving every possible receipt carefully. Tax returns from decade ago remain neatly filed. Warranties for discarded toasters still organized alphabetically here. And medical records from unpaid leave I took to nurse mother through extensive cosmetic surgical procedures. I retrieved folder labeled Evelyn Medical in bold. I flipped through discharge papers, scanning surgical logs. Date of admission October 14th confirmed clearly there. Time of surgery 8 o'clock, precisely morning. I glanced back toward computer, glowing quietly nearby. The notary stamp carried same October 14th date. Time marked 10 o'clock in the morning exactly. At 10 that morning, Evelyn lay unconscious, sedated. In recovery room, bandaged face, heavily medicated. I know because I sat beside her bed, on a hard plastic chair, holding her hand patiently, while she murmured about pressure in her sinuses. She absolutely could not have signed anything then. Examined witness signatures scrawled beneath loan document. Illegible, careless, hurried writing. But I knew exactly who house sat that week. Julian, the proclaimed genius. Julian, the eternal golden boy of family mythology. He forged our mother's signature during her surgery. Leveraged home equity totaling $220,000 recklessly. And likely squandered funds on crypto fantasies rentals. But here lies sickest part of entire scheme. Evelyn must have known truth all along. Banks send statements monthly. Banks call persistently, relentlessly. She tore that red notice deliberately, in half, which meant she absolutely saw and recognized it. She knew Julian robbed her without hesitation, stripped equity from roof above her own head. And she maintained protective, calculated, deliberate silence. She chose shielding his crime over exposing failure. She would sacrifice house to preserve his illusion. I leaned back slowly, screen glow lighting apartment. They were drowning rapidly, dragging heavy gilded anchor of their elaborate lies. And dark water rising. For years my reflex would have been intervention. Call, scream, fix, pay everything immediately without question. But I stared at that $20 bill quietly. As payment for my dignity. I understood something finally. I was not lifeboat. I was the shark. And sharks never rescue. They circle patiently waiting. I did not contact police right away. Police reports require months. Fraud investigations stretch painfully for exhausting, endless years, often concluding with lenient plea deals, meaningless consequences. I refused prolonged, exhausting public courtroom spectacle. I desired total, irreversible, undeniable, complete control. I phoned former colleague from law school days, a woman named Sarah. She specialized distressed assets and complex private equity. We met discreetly downtown in quiet, neutral office, far from prying social circle family acquaintances. Need Form LLC, I told her clearly. Anonymous Delaware registration required. We named it Nemesis Holdings deliberately together. Sounded bland, corporate, forgettable, but meaning satisfied me. Strategy was not purchasing debt directly from bank. Banks operate sluggish, bureaucratic, unimaginative, painfully slow pace. Strategy required a peering savior, the miracle they awaited. I understood foreclosure timeline precisely down 2 days. Final notice vacate arriving within 30 short days. Julian would spiral, panicking. He could not refinance. His credit destroyed completely. Evelyn could not refinance. She possessed zero income. They were entirely unbankable. Therefore, Nemesis Holdings intervenes. We drafted hard money rescue loan proposal carefully. Financial world calls this loan of last resort. It is costly, swift, dangerous by design. We offered clearing existing mortgage fraudulent credit entirely. Rolling debt into new private binding agreement. Interest rate predatory, 14%, unapologetically steep. Term painfully brief, 6 months only. But drowning man mistakes shark for floating log. I knew Julian would see cash, not consequences. I invested my savings, money scraped from shoebox apartment, frugal living years. Driving aging, unreliable vehicle. I wagered everything against their limitless, unchecked greed. Once documents finalized completely, I performed hardest task. I did absolutely nothing. In risk assessment principles, one golden rule exists. Never interrupt enemy mid-mistake. I spent evenings quietly scrolling through burner account. Watched Julian posting club VIP booth celebrations, holding vodka bottle, costing $300 carelessly. Caption reading, closing deals. The empire grows boldly. Bianca displayed designer shoe unboxing, dramatic performances. It's complaining about poor lighting inside spacious bedroom. Evelyn attended brunch, smiling tight rehearsed artificial smile, pretending foundation beneath her feet remained unshaken. Foreclosure clock ticking steadily. 20 days, 14:10. Every bottle Julian opened. Every shoe Bianca purchased. Every lie Evelyn repeated. Another shovel removing dirt. The first warned Evelyn. If I exposed Julian as thief publicly, she would despise me. Call me jealous liar. Accuse me envying Julian's imaginary roaring success. She would defend parasite until it consumed everything. So I maintained silence, let fear ferment there, while I remained home. Drinking tea, reviewing contracts. Silence is strategic weapon. Silence is deliberate strength. Predator never roars first. It waits observing patiently, till prey feels secure, until exits disappear completely. I waited until 3 days before auction, then instructed Sarah, proceed. Bank's final eviction notice arrived Tuesday morning, precisely taped firmly to ancestral home front door. Neon orange, impossible ignore. No social charm conceals. According to Sarah lawyer, Evelyn did not respond with dignity, composure, grace. She clawed paper furiously, fingernails shredding surface desperately, leaving adhesive residue behind. Then barricaded bedroom door. With bottles Chardonnay inside. Julian, exactly as expected, was nowhere in sight. He was probably avoiding calls from his bookie. This was their weakest, most vulnerable, exposed hour, the only sliver where my trap could function. 2 hours later, Sarah knocked upon their door, appearing like rescue help. Not predator in disguise, muted gray-tailored suit. A sensible, understated, luxury sedan idling at curbside. Leather portfolio embossed cleanly, Nemesis Holdings in gold. She calmly delivered offer. We structured bridge financing to satisfy bank completely, stopping foreclosure proceedings immediately. The conditions were severe. High interest, minimal runway. But panicked families scan only bold, simple headlines. House saved. Evelyn showed zero hesitation. She consumed proposal eagerly. I knew it, she told Sarah, glowing proudly. Julian's networking finally delivered. He mentioned private capital circling his big vision. He's a genius visionary. Banks never appreciate brilliance. Sarah offered courteous smile. Mr. Fairbanks holds reputation. When Julian finally arrived, he resembled condemned prisoner. Until realizing executioner brought him unexpected reprieve, he skimmed numbers quickly. Enough funds clearing. HELOC, an original mortgage entirely, plus generous 6-month cushion. To him, this wasn't rescue. It was breathing room. Time to hustle, manipulate, and scheme upright again. Then he reached page 14 of contract. Warranty of solvency clause. That was hidden poison. Simple, clinical, devastating, precise. Borrower affirms liabilities disclosed. Undisclosed debt above 5,000 triggers instant default. Automatic deed transfer immediately. Sarah later recounted scene. Julian froze, completely motionless. 1 full silent minute. Eyes locked on paragraph. Sweat gathering along hairline. He understood implications perfectly. Gambling debts, substantial, undocumented. Tens of thousands owed to dangerous private creditors. He began forming objection, likely stalling, negotiating desperately. Sarah leaned slightly forward, delivered rehearsed cutting line. Is there issue with standard disclosures, Mr. Fairbanks? Boilerplate language, unless a titan like you maintains. Unsavory arrangements. Bookies, perhaps loan sharks? Evelyn laughed, radiantly proud. Don't be absurd, ridiculous. Julian never gambles foolishly. He invests strategically. Trap snapped, decisively closed. Julian faced brutal choice. Refuse signing, confess everything. Admit fraud, burning lives. Or sign, pray silently. Hope no verification. Followed, he selected deception again. No problem, he muttered. Voice thin, trembling, brittle. Where do I sign? Scrawled signature hurriedly. Evelyn signed beside him, beaming triumph, never realizing. She surrendered deed willingly. 2 shell company controlled. By daughter she dismissed. They celebrated loudly, relieved. Believing bank defeated consequences. Believing they outplayed me. Ink barely dried before Sarah transmitted confirmation. Documents executed, warranty violated. Assets secured cleanly. I sat inside car, eating sandwich quietly alone. Phone vibrated in palm. I took another bite. Tasted like victory. Closing meeting scheduled promptly for 10 morning sharp. At upscale downtown notary. Mahogany, polish, old money atmosphere. Stage Evelyn adored deeply. I arrived 5 minutes. Late, deliberately calculated, through glass walls observing. Evelyn adorned in pearls. Bianca live streaming exaggerated pout. Julian joking with notary, like man unpunished invincible. I pushed door open. Julian's laughter evaporated instantly. Bianca lowered streaming phone. Evelyn's expression hardened sharply. "What are you doing?" she snapped icily. "If begging from jealousy, leave immediately. Actually, since you're present, pour water for attorneys. Try not spilling anything, you useless." Girl, I offered no response. Walked calmly toward sideboard. Poured glass deliberately steady. Listened to ice clicking. Crystal chiming against itself. Drank slowly, never blinking. Eyes fixed on Julian. Then released glass casually. Soft thud into carpet. I moved to head of polished table. Seat reserved. Forelender. Sarah stood smoothly rising. Pulled chair outward formally. "Miss Maya, please sit," her tone blade-sharp precise. I settled into chair. Placed portfolio before me. I didn't come serving. I own the company. Julian blinked, confused, stunned. Nemesis Holdings Investment Firm. Nemesis Holdings Single Member LLC. I answered evenly, calmly. And I'm sole member. I slid file forward. Julian opened it slowly. Color drained from face. Background report exhaustive, humiliating. Gambling debts itemized thoroughly. Credit cards maxed Bianca's name, exploited recklessly. You signed warranty yesterday, firming no hidden obligations. Over $5,000. I leaned closer quietly. You lied. Julian unraveled quickly, panicked. Wait, this procedural? We can repair misunderstanding. I can clarify everything. Sarah ignored his plea. Stamped document with forceful, rhythmic, decisive thunk. Default clause, self-executing. Mr. Fairbanks. She stated, "Do fraudulent misrepresentation deed transferred immediately to Nemesis? Recorded county registry earlier." She closed briefcase firmly. Nodded once toward me. "The house is yours. Miss Maya, tenant notification remains your responsibility." Exited gracefully composed. Lock clicking finality behind. We remained inside silence. Air felt vacuumed hollow. Evelyn's complexion turned ashen. Not fury, but fear. True, unmasked, trembling fear. First time she regarded me unintimidatable. "You," she whispered hoarsely, "you stole my house. I rescued it instead." From the bank entirely. Julian surrendered it freely. Unable cease lying minutes. Evelyn's voice cracked loudly. "How could you? Betray. We are your family." I felt absolute nothingness. No anger, no sorrow, only surgical cold clarity. "One explanation, Mother? Because you loved illusion. Of your son, deeply. More than daughter's truth. You saw notices clearly. You knew signatures forged. You pretended blindness willingly. Admitting his failure meant admitting your own." I gestured toward Julian. Shaking hands, covering face. "You chose beautiful lie. Now neither lie nor house remains. 'Tisn't tragedy, Mother, it's math." Evelyn collapsed inward, defeated. Bianca stared, horrified, silent. Realizing backdrop vanished permanently. "You have 30 days. Use them wisely." I left without looking. From notary office directly to police precinct downtown, carrying forged HELOC papers. Hospital logs proving unconsciousness. Fraud above 5,000. Constitutes felony offense. Julian arrested 3 hours. Evelyn received. Eviction notice. Following morning precisely delivered. 30 days exactly. She departed with 4 suitcases, photo albums boxed. Relocated to month-to-month efficiency. Edge of town anonymity. No dining room audience. I never returned there. Once title cleared fully. I listed property immediately. Developer purchased land value. Bulldozed legacy into condominiums. Proceeds funded investments wisely. First profitable yield ever. 2 weeks afterward seated. In Rome Cafe Espresso. Finally experiencing lightness. Phone rang, unknown number. Evelyn on prepaid line, crying jagged theatrical sobs. Amaya, please. Desperate plea. Nowhere left to perform. May I stay temporarily? It's just weeks until bail. I watched Roman sunset. Remembered every shrinking moment. You said, I'm not your daughter anymore. Ah, honoring your wishes. I ended call calmly. Block. Number ordered coffee. You carried others who call you burden? Tell me in comments.